After having a discussion with Mr. Gabriel Andrade, professor of ethics and behavioral sciences in a medical college presently in Dubai, who had written an article about uh, uh, past life regression, how true it is, what is in his understanding. He had done some research, some case studies, especially he researched about psychiatrist Dr. Stevenson and Brian Weiss, who's quite a famous in PLR. He's a physician, psychiatrist, and I think physician who also incorporated PLR as part of his therapy or care, medical care. So, and his conclusion is that this is unethical. There are two impacts. One is it is not based on any evidence. Secondly, in implants, probably false memories, which can be very detrimental to the person who gets implanted with such, there can be fear psychosis created by, so there can be repercussions. And he says there is no evidence. So he also did some case studies about reincarnation. But my focus is, can somebody, if I assume that there is reincarnation, there is past life and soul. So with this assumption, then PLR, now the question is whether this process of PLR, past life regression, can it really take you back to your past life? So we don't remember a lot of things of a childhood. So why not try it out, taking somebody back to remember something of 2-year-old, 3-year-old? Because most of us really don't remember. With time, the memory fades away. It is not relevant, so it fades away. Whether it stays in the subconscious, not stays in the subconscious, that we really don't know. Because something which may not be relevant might be getting erased or might be getting recorded and getting stored somewhere. It's like if you see on a computer, mobile, it says the apps which are not being used, we can remove them. So this prompt comes. So there must be some process in the human body. We are not interested in that right now, but we are trying to see why do they only take. So I decided to speak to somebody who does PLR. So I went on the YouTube and I came across someone who does PLR, and that lady was interviewed by this podcast guy in India. I don't want to name them, and I thought I will contact. So I sent a message today morning, and her husband responded. Both of them do PLR. So his husband was speaking to me, and I will just tell you the outcome of that conversation, which was very interesting, and probably I didn't expect it to be so outrageous. So first thing I told him that I'm doing some analysis about PLR, and I'm from this background, and these different practices also kind of touch upon somewhere in the spiritual path. So somebody dealing with astrology or Ayurveda. So I come across people from these faculties also. I have a good friend in Ayurveda. He's PhD and he's in Haridwar. So I come across these people, and so I just spoke to this guy. He says he was working in an MNC and he's an engineer, and he didn't try to find out what's my background. So I told him, my understanding is I'm not very clear this PLR really happens. How can you prove that you take somebody? And I heard this lady speaking in the podcast. She says she only takes the name of the person and she meditates for 1.5 hours. And this guy told me then they go into a state of trance, and state of trance they open up the portal of that person, and then we find out everything what happened in their past life from the Akashic records. So this was not PLR. Initially he told that he does PLR also, and that's what I understood from the video podcast, that they do PLR, and I think Reiki also, and Akashic record, mainly Akashic record. So he spoke about PLR and Akashic both. Later on he said we don't do PLR. He kind of backtracked on that, and I said okay, we'll talk about Akashic records only. So he said Akashic record, this is what they do, and what I heard was that she goes into meditation for 90 minutes before starting the session, and so this also itself I didn't understand that after taking the name of the person, he goes into meditation for 90 minutes. What kind of meditation they do, I really don't know. He said they go into trance, which is like, I can't believe that. So then they open up a portal, and so now that's next. Then he said that people only tell, and he was making some statements like this is 100 so many thousands of year old science, this is so many years old science, there is a course for this. I said I am not interested if it is a how many year old science or which book is there and who's doing this. I am calling you because if you can explain me this process scientifically, how it happens, what is the proof. To me it is a mental manipulation, and I'll explain why I call it a mental manipulation. And so he I think got offended. My intention was not to offend him, but trying to understand if he can give some rational and some kind of logic behind how it happens, if I can understand that. Or if you're just doing and making statement that I go into trance and I open a portal, why should I believe that? I got a question. If I have to do Akashic reading, then I need to question what he does. What is the basis? So then he started telling me, you are interrupting me in between, and he actually became very aggressive, and he became very volatile, aggressive, and he also used foul language. He said, you are fingering me in between. I mean, you don't have such kind of conversation, you don't use such language. And I said, okay, I will not finger you. So he was getting very aggressive, and he started kind of abusing me, accusing me. I won't say abusing, but it's pretty similar. He said, you have come to ask me and I will tell you. Don't interrupt me, don't question me. If you're questioning me, basically your intent is to prove me wrong. I said, you are already assuming. I am just questioning you because when you say that you are going to trance, then I'm going to question you something. And if you think that I will just only listen to you. So finally I agreed, and he started speaking. And he spoke just for 1 minute and he had nothing else to say. I said, you finished? He said, yeah, finished. I said, that's all? He said, yeah, that's all. So and before I could start asking question, he started accusing me. So I realized he was going on the backtrack and he had nothing to explain. So the point is, people who go for these things, because there is something available in the market. You open a shop, you write Akashic readings. So somebody gets curious. He goes, people have problems and people look for some solutions. So there are all kind of people. So they are trying to, I will talk about this also separately, but why do people go to such things? So when they go out of curiosity also people can go out of fun also. Let's see what it is. And they will not really get into the details and they won't question, they kind of surrender. If you see my discussion with Dr. Gabriel, he says people agree to go through it. So I said people agree to get manipulated in a way. So when you are having a discussion, you have to counter things, because if somebody is making a statement and that statement doesn't have any logic, then you have to counter it. So people go and they don't question. I will tell you about meditation. I was talking to someone, and someone from on my channel, people approached me on me after seeing my videos, and I said, did you question? Have you ever questioned? And also in Poland, I asked someone. That lady told we were made to meditate. Then when I questioned them, they told that no, how can we ask a person about meditation? We just follow what they do. So this is what happens in this mystical kind of stuff, some magical kind of techniques and process. People just go and they feel somebody out there is kind of a guru and we can't dare to question him, and he will also not tell. So just follow what they do, and then you come back and you come back like I don't know with what. So the point is that people don't question, and if you question a little more, if you probe, basically if you try to probe the validity of the whole process, then probably they will kick you out. They will tell you, no, you don't believe, so don't do it. So they have their set of audience. So somebody who's doubting their process and going to question it and trying to investigate it or probe it, they will not get it. They will not cooperate and collaborate in that to convince him that this happens. And yeah, and I'm asking question. You can respond. I mean, what's wrong in that? It's not about I'm trying to prove that this is manipulation. Now I will say why it is manipulation, because what they do, people when they go to an astrologer or any of these kind of healers and all these Akashic and PLR and all, they go and tell all the problems they have for what they have come. So now these people already know that what kind of solution can be, how can we navigate to tell them this is a problem. So they say we do hypnosis. So he said we do hypnosis. So initially he was talking about PLR. Later on he told we don't do PLR. He said we only do Akashic records. So for PLR he was explaining we do hypnosis and all. But later on he backed out. I don't know what's the reason, because probably he thought he couldn't answer. And for Akashic he did talk for hardly a minute, and I said, you didn't have much to talk, so what's wrong if I stop you and question you about something? So he didn't want to be questioned also, because he didn't have any answers. So people are doing these kind of unethical practices, and people are going there, like palm reading, palmistry. It's fun. Even if you see recently in astrology, I was watching this election, Indian election, and there's one great astrologer, Sanjay Narayan Sharma or something. He was in 4 p.m. channel, and in 4 p.m. channel he was telling that Modi will not come, Modi will not come, this, that, this star, this planet, and a long 1 hour video. I watched the whole video. Actually, a waste of time, but just to understand what the hell is he talking. And obviously his prediction went wrong. Then I also saw in 2019 on the same channel he had predicted Modi will not come. Same guy, supposed to be very big astrologer in India, and his prediction was wrong there also, and he's still predicting and still going wrong. So, and he was attributing last prediction going wrong to some event which happened at Pulwama attack. He said because of Pulwama Modi won. But if you are predicting, you are a great astrologer and your predictions are going wrong, and you are predicting something which has a 50-50 chance. So if this is 50, it goes wrong. If it is 50, you say it works. So so I know one guy who told sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. So and they are all telling, I grilled another guy on astrology. I will talk about astrology later on. But later on, when I asked him some questions, he got caught and he accepted this really is not correct. But later on he disagreed. But I got him into converging with my understanding. And he was telling people say like this, people say like this. I said, just because people say so, you are going as per that. You don't have any conclusive evidence or understanding of how it happens. So you are just going on hearsay. So such kind of practices are running, and people go there because a lot of people, the reason people go to these places is there's ego. There is ego because they don't believe in karma, and they don't understand what is the suffering. Suffering is not a suffering. Suffering is a lesson. Spiritually, it's a lesson which you have to learn. Now to find out what suffering you are having and why you are having, because obviously there must be some karma which you did and you are getting redeemed. Now whether you did in the past life, this life, how does it matter? You are redeemed. Try to understand what all wrong you did. Try to remember what all wrong you did. That is what is needed through self-inquiry. Understand, and also when you are doing now, whatever karmas you are doing now, do it well. And try to repent, try to apologize for whatever wrong you did. If you can realize that you did something wrong. So these people who go there, they are in some kind of extreme kind of approach to justify their wrongdoings to something else, maybe in the past life. If astrology, blame it on the stars, blame it on the planets. If PLR or Akashic record, blame it on your past life happening events. Like he was telling, this guy was telling, some lady is very introvert, and why she's introvert, because, and somebody has a fear of water because she drowned in water, she fell from there, somebody got raped, so she has a fear, she's introvert. So when we tell her that in past life you got raped and because of that you're doing, so she stops being introvert. So people, things are resolved. So people mentally are manipulated and navigated, and they are made to imagine. It's all run of imagination, and it's just kind of, you are coerced into it through suggestions and options. So people give option, and they imagine, they get into some kind of imagination. So it's, hypnosis is some kind of mental manipulation also only. So it is brainwashing. There are different aspects of mind manipulation. There is marketing. What is marketing? It is also mental manipulation. So there are different aspects of mental manipulation. Brainwashing. Our education system is only brainwashing. What is taught, whatever is taught to us as a child, when we grow up, we assume what is right, what is being taught to us. So that's also a mental manipulation. Conditioning. We are going through a conditioning. Now somebody is conditioned to believe that these things are there, so they will believe that. And somebody writes a book, and somewhere it's quoted in some religious book also, suppose, or some book somewhere, then that becomes another point to, as a validation that this practice is there and it happens without really having any rational. So the basis for believing such things are real, authentic, is pretty much vague, no rational, no evidence, but just something to. So people have actually created a business out of it, because there is a demand for such things. There are people who are looking to blame, attribute their miseries to something else, so that they can get out of that. Somebody who's doing wrong things over and over again, and ultimately due to those wrong deeds, that person goes into a trap, because ultimately you get redeemed right here itself, in this life also, in this life only. So when you get redeemed for your wrongdoings, and you don't want to admit that you are doing wrong, so to come out of the trap, because now you have no choice left, that you have to accept what you did wrong, or actually negotiate and come out of it, but you still want to blame it on something else. You don't want to blame your wrong deeds on yourself, but you want to blame it on something else. And for that, these kind of practices like Akashic reading and PLR will give you some reason attributable to your past life, and for that you will come out scot-free from your wrongdoings. This is my understanding. I may be wrong, and I'm now I'm very skeptical about talking to these people, because they'll get very aggressive. They will not agree to what I'm telling, and this is my experience. And I feel all the people who are doing these kind of practices are actually not very intelligent, and they have found this to that, like, some of them are emotional, some of from good families, some of them are finding this as a profession, so that they can make sustenance, make their living out of it. And I'll tell you about yoga. Like yoga, if you go to Rishikesh, 95% students coming to these yoga schools in Rishikesh are all girls, literally 95%, and most of them are pretty young now. Earlier they were middle aged, now most of the girls are very young, because I visit Rishikesh thrice a year regularly, and I spend a lot of time. I see generally the crowd which is there in these schools and roaming around. But the point is, they had multiple failures in their relationships, and they have to be on their own now, because when the relationship has not worked out, and you have divorced or separated, or failures in partnerships and whatever they have in the Western society, so they are now, and they're not, most of them are not even qualified enough to get into a white collar job. So how do they make their living? So now you look for something in around you what can give you a sustenance. So yoga teacher training is one thing. They feel, if I spend $1,000 or $800 in India, I will get a certificate in 1 month, and I'll become a teacher, and I can open a yoga studio, and I can teach, and I can make a living. This is the only path, not that they are spiritual or something. So this is a fallacy. This is a something like a myth, and so many people, there are so many schools opened in Rishikesh. I think within last 10 years, I think the number of schools have become at least 5 times or 10 times. So many people are coming because there is unemployment in the West, so much unemployment, so much of separation, so many divorces. So there are so many women who need to find how to sustain. So a lot of them adopt to these kind of practices. Healers, coaches, this, that. Look at LinkedIn. 2 years back, I deleted my account. I've just rejoined LinkedIn, and now I see that LinkedIn is full of these kind of people. So one has to be careful about these unethical practices which are prevailing in the society. They will be there, and I only agree to them as an entertainment value, but not to take it so seriously and bring it in your life and understand what the hell you're doing. Don't go to these predictions. In fact, somebody also told me recently that astrologers, I think this guy only told me, this PLR Akashic record guy, astrology will not tell you predict anything. They will just give you a general idea. So now if you probe, they will tell that we will only give you general idea. So it's entertainment value. You can't take it at face value. You can't take it at book value, and you can't just start living your life according to that, or it can make any changes. And the astrologers, they will also give you solutions. They will tell you, pay 10,000 rupees, we'll do this procedure, this ritual, that ritual, feed 10 people, 10 Brahmins, 10 do this on Thursday, on this day, on that day. So they will just randomly tell you something. You will shell out some more money, and nothing will happen. And I'm actually looking forward to talk. Best way is to go get your Akashic recording done from 3 different people. Get your PLR done from 3 different people. Go to 6 people and see what do they tell. Do they all appear to be same, or they all come out to be different? This itself will prove it. I don't want to do it because I really don't. I know it is. It's like, I won't say fraud, but it is useless. It's got no authenticity. But if you really want to believe in this, go to different people for Akashic record. Go to astrologer. Go to your PLR sessions and do 2 2 3 3, and just see whether all they converge or not. If they don't converge, then they are fooling you. Thank you.